All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the men who taught me this truth. I would like to say shalom to you, Akim, and you few Akwath, you men, women, and little ones that believe on the words of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. It's your brother Michael Allah coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, Lord willing to edify. And the title of this lesson is simply Signs of the End of America. See, because whether you people want to believe it or not, we at the end of this place, America, this, wicked kingdom continuing, to exist. Eventually the Lord is about to get ready to take this place out. And the Lord's already crumbling this place, by the way, for these different plagues that he sent out. The Lord's showing different signs in the heavens. We just had a pink moon, yesterday. And, of course, yesterday was the Passover, you see. And many other signs in the heavens, such as chariot signs, the signs of the prophets and the believers, waking back up in the last days, returning back to Yahweh Shema Shah. All of these signs are pointing to the end of this place, and it proves that the words of the Lord are faithful and true, you see. But I got a couple videos queued up, but let's get this real quick. This from ABC News. It says April Pink Full Moon 2026. So you see the signs of the heavens. We just had that the pink moon, man. And these are the signs Yahweh Shah told us to watch out for. And these signs will be shown to let us know where we are concerning Bible prophecy. But let's get this video right here in. And as you can see, 144, that's the spirit. And this from the Hopeful Elect 3. Subscribe and be edified. And it says, your everyday American will be a YN when shit hits the fan. Let's get into it.
I gotta get a lot of ammunition. I'm gonna have to get a lot of fucking ammunition. Now let me tell you why. I'm in the gas station talking to this older gentleman, and we were talking about politics and stuff like that because I had on my conservative girl hoodie at the time. And the young gentleman that was the cashier, he was saying like, man, look, I ain't worried about none of that because, baby, if that shit jump down, I already know what I'm gonna do. I'm kicking down doors. I'm straight robbing motherfuckers. What? Excuse me, sir? You're doing what? Oh, okay, yep. That's giving me a little insight on the mindset of these little motherfuckers that's around here now. Because, baby, they're not going to legitimately try to hustle up and try to make things happen for their family. They're really going to be on some motherfucking hooties. We gonna rob you and be some motherfucking hijackers type shit. So, yeah.
And basically, that's just not reserved for just your average YN, with you YN Jakes, that's coming up. You think you got, you think, robbing in that day is going to save you, jacking people. Well, that's going to be the spirit that everybody's going to be in, because it's going to be about survival in the times that we're in. Remember, we're in the time of Jacob's trouble. So it's not just going to be just your YN kicking down your doors, looting houses, looting stores. No, this is going to be for your average Edomite, old and young, your average Hamite, Moabite, you know what I'm saying? You Northern Kingdom, y'all crazy ass, but that's the spirit that everybody's going to be in, except for the elect. You know, because you people don't have, you don't have nothing to lean on, so to speak. You don't have nothing. You don't have no survival skills, and even if you got survival skills, that's still not gonna save you.
Yeah. I'm about to go to Dick's Sporting Goods. If I don't get out there, if I can't make it to Dick's, I gotta find me somewhere to get some more ammunition from. Because I mean, y'all know I'm a fella, so I don't have any weapons or anything like that. So it's not for me. I'm just gonna, go get some and take pictures of it. Yeah, I just want to see what it looks like. I'm not buying anything or nothing. But I'll probably, we're thinking about protection at this point. Because how you gonna sit here and say you gonna rob somebody and you just gonna take what other people have worked hard for, and you just gonna take what other people have survived for? Like what? Like what? Which got me to also thinking, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, why is it someone's first nature when it comes to crisis to take and not figure it out? Like, man, that just pissed me off so fucking bad. Like, you motherfucking hoodlums ain't coming. Nope. Heat. Lots of fucking heat. We're gonna make a video about heat, y'all, okay? Not the heat that keep your body warm, but the heat that make your body leak, okay?
And Eve, she swears she got the answers. But guess what? You don't have that much ammo to keep, people away. You know what I'm saying? You may live in the neighborhood with over 200 people. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep all those people away from you or away from kicking your house in. You're not gonna have that much of ammunition. And even if you do, you still gotta reload. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta reload. And then one of Esau come in your shit, because martial law, is gonna come down the pipeline. Then what are you gonna do then? Because they got ammo for days. They don't run out. But you see the love of many is waxing cold, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
American drivers woke up this morning and learned that, according to AAA, for the first time in a while, gas prices are more than $4 a gallon. $4.02 a gallon on average, in fact. But check it out here in Los Angeles. The price is $8.29 a gallon for regular unleaded, $8.89 for a gallon of diesel. Now,
if you paid attention, oh, look at that, 414 in the comments. But if you go, if you paid attention, going a couple years back, I believe it was either during COVID or after COVID, like a year after COVID, like 2021, 2022, give or take. Well, your prices of gas in LA got almost to $10 a gallon. You know what I'm saying? Almost $10 a gallon. So how much more when hyperinflation sets in? Well, it might cost $100 a gallon, $50 a gallon. You see? And nobody's going to be able to afford these skyrocketing gas prices as well as food prices. You see? But it's only going to get worse.
on average here in California, the price is $5.89 a gallon for regular unleaded. And yeah, a chunk of that is California state taxes and fees. But the bottom line is if you come here to this station and fill her up and you got a 13-gallon gas tank, you're paying more than $100. American drivers woke up this morning.
Yep. And that's going to contribute to chaos, especially when everybody is going to be forced to be on the same playing field. Everybody's going to be forced to really just sit down, you know. But let's go here. This is Matthew 24 and verse 3. It says, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" You see? And this is what the disciples inquired by Yahweh Shai. You know, when would it ultimately be the end of the Roman Empire. Now, of course, during that time, it wasn't time, for the kingdom to be established and Rome to go down. But guess what? Through reincarnation, though the disciples have came back, starting with our apostles and elders of Great Millstone on down. You see, starting with Rabbi Abba Bivens on down. So the prophets are back today. And now we're at the end, we're in the revival Roman Empire, whose deadly wound was healed. And now that this word has went forth, now that the Lord has raised up the prophets in these last days, that's a sign of the end. You see, that's a sign that Yahushua is about to return. That's a sign that Esau Edom is going down and is about to be destroyed in his kingdom. And he's about to be put in slavery, man, under the Israelites. You see? But this is the time of these prophecies being fulfilled. Let's prove that. Jumping down to the 14th verse, it says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." You see? So this is how we know that we're at the end, because this gospel has been preached throughout the four corners of the earth, mainly through the way of the internet. And now you're seeing the end is at hand. You see? That's why America is no longer in that lustful, you know what I'm saying? It no longer has, that high vibe to it as it once had in the 1990s, 1970s, where everybody was just smiling, having a ball, Those days are over with, man. Now everybody is frowning, They getting their ass whooped on bills, which, Jake always been getting their ass whooped on bills, but it was somewhat at least manageable, in the early 2000s and shit like that. You could manage a little bit better than you can now. Now is it's about to be damn near impossible for you to even maintain, your way of living, because the house market has increased, and these prices are not gonna go down. You see, but going here, I jump up to the 12th verse. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Yeah, so the love of many is waxing cold. Because one thing Eve has said in the video, she basically was like, why the first thing that come to people's minds is stealing and, looting, harming people, but not understanding that, unless the Lord is with her, she's going to be in that same spirit, because that's the way Esau is setting this thing up, to force you people to act, act out or to commit crimes and, basically kill each other off, just to give him a reason to come down with some form of order, you know what I'm saying? To basically bring their C-hip into play, man. What is called order out of chaos, order out of chaos, And that's what Esau wants to do, is to allow you people to maneuver in chaos, and he creates certain chaotic scenarios so that he can bring order. And that's mainly going to come through the way of that MOTB, you see. But the love of many is waxing cold, man. You're not going to be able to ask your neighbor, could you borrow some water, when rationing starts to go out. You ain't going to be able to ask your neighbor for help or shack up with your neighbor because you finna get kicked out your house. You're not even going to be able to shack up, with a family member, man. Because the love of many is waxing cold. You see? Well, let's go here. The 2nd Ezra 8 and verse 50 says, "For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. You see, so many great miseries are about to be done in this place, America, mainly America, and really throughout the four corners of the earth, you know. But we're mainly focusing on the soils of America, man, you know, because this is, you know, Babylon the Great. This is where the Lord is going to execute his greatest judgments, you see. So these many great miseries are going to be done to you people because you walked in great pride, you know. You walked in the mindset of God bless America. You think, you know, that the Lord, all this wickedness that's going on over here, you think the Lord is just, you know, oblivious to these wicked actions that's taking place behind closed doors, out in the open. You know, here it is, this a place where you could do what you want to do, basically. Do as thou wilt, you know. YOLO spirit. You only live once. So you can worship whatever God you want to worship. You know, you want to do what you want to do, eat what you want to eat, you know, say what you want to say. And you think that there's no consequences for that. Well, that's why these many great miseries have been created, you see, to ultimately humble you people. But let's go here. This second Ezra 15 and verse 14, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Yeah, so eventually you're going to have civil war in the streets. You're going to have riots, you know, because your average American is waking up to the fact that, you know, this government doesn't have you people's best interests at heart, you know. Esau don't care about the fact that you can't afford a place to live. You're not going to be able to afford to eat. Esau don't care about that, man. You see? He's the one that's setting this up so you can, basically come up against one another. You see? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and evading one another. See? They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. You see? So you're going to be people, you're going to have people invading one another, you know, for the lack of bread. Matter of fact, continuing on, it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. That's your martial law. For because of their pride, this city shall be troubled. So this is because of you people's pride, you know. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, you know. So you YNs, you tough ass YNs, you want to tote your guns, mean mug everybody, you know what I mean? Tell folks you don't care about nothing. You're a Swiss cheese a person. Well, guess what? In those days, scriptures tell you you're going to be afraid, and you're going to be so scared that you're going to drop dead. You may have a heart attack for the things that's going to come upon this place, man. You know, scriptures tell you that. Man's heart's failing them for fear. You know, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and the modern day sword is the gun. Like Eve was talking about, basically stocking up on ammunition. Well, you that's not gonna save you, Eve. And you know how Eve is, you know what I mean? She may be so shook to where she can't even pull the trigger. You know what I mean? When she faced with a certain mob of people, you know what I mean, trying to come at her at once. If it's 20 people coming at her at once, you know what I mean, and she only got a gun that fire one shot at a time, yeah, man, you only gonna kill probably about, you may kill probably about 3 or 4 of them. But the rest of them, they gonna jump on you, man. And they gonna beat your ass. But continuing on, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, see, and spoil their goods. So they're going to take everything that you got, you know, and especially you women, you know, women, you're going to be spoiled, you know, because don't think for a second, you know, you women that live in them apartment complexes, in these different apartment complexes, and you live, you're single, you know, even if you're in a regular neighborhood and you single, don't think ain't nobody watching you. You see, these people, somebody's always watching you. And best believe it's a man always watching you, man. Bring your groceries in, checking to see who all come in and out your house. You know, that's why we warn you women, you know, you better get close to your house by Shemal Shah, you know, and get it together. You see? It says, because it's really going to get real bad for you, man. And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, you see? And that's when that famine kicks in to its full extent. Well, people are going to be killing one another because it ain't no food to get, no water to get, you know, and they're just going to be perplexed, you see? People may, you may see people turning into zombies, you know what I'm saying? Because they done took that juice and these different other vaxes that Esau has prepared for you people to take in the near future. You know, they're just going to change your whole DNA. You know, just watch movies like Zombieland, you know? Like Zombieland, they may have put it in a form of it being comical, but that's not comical at all. Well, Walking Dead, you know, I Am Legend, you know? These are actual events that's going to take place, you see? But let's go here, and I'm going to close out with this one. It's Jeremiah 30 and verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it, you see? So this is the time of Jacob's trouble. This is just the beginning of sorrows, but things will intensify. But as for the elect, the Lord already said that the elect is going to be saved out of these times. Let me get this and close out. So the elect has nothing to worry about. Psalms 91 and verse 7, it says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. So you're going to have thousands, if not millions of people dropping dead within these cities of America. You're going to see millions of people, bodies just laying there on the ground like dung, you know. They're just going to be laying there. You ain't going to have no funerals in that day. People not even really going to have time to mourn for loved ones. You may get like 5 minutes of mourning, depending on the situation, and you're still in survival mode. Or you may not even be able to have time to yourself to shed a tear because you're going to be so overwhelmed with these different prophecies that the Lord is going to intensify, man, you know. But it says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee, you see. So these things are going to come, but the Lord is comforting the elect by saying these evils are not going to overtake the elect, you know. These things are not going to overtake us, Lord, when we are that number. Why? Because a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. You see? And we are hiding ourselves in this truth because the Lord foretold us of these things that will come down the pipeline. So when they come, these things are going to come back to our remembrance. Like, oh, the Lord said this would happen. And it says, only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. You see? So we're going to be in the midst of these people dying, in the midst of these plagues. But the Lord's going to have a hedge of protection round about us because the angels encampeth around about them that fear him. It says, because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. You see? And that's thus saith the Lord. But Lord willing, that was edifying. I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the men who taught me this truth. Peace and blessings be to the hopeful elect, you men, women, and little ones that believe on the words of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.